Hey, how you doing, Dad?
Yeah, not too bad yourself.
I am good. I am good. It's good to be back on the channel. Yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster, mate. I wish we were sort of talking under better circumstances.
Yeah,
After,
like you say, it'd be better if we would have been speaking about a win right now.
yeah. Well, look, things have changed with me. I can see that things have changed with you. What?
Oh, you know what I'm like? I'm crazy. I shouldn't be allowed to be in charge of my own stuff, should I? I shouldn't have
Uh,
just. Oh, crazy.
hey, Jerry. I think. Yeah, I don't know. What was it? Just sort of frustration at Everton.
Well, you was there. Like I watched it on TV, so obviously I get like a proper analysis of what's cracking and stuff like that. But you was even more there. You was there with the atmosphere and the how did it feel like? Because I heard Ryan come and say that the atmosphere was really, really bad.
um, no, I wouldn't have said the atmosphere was bad. Maybe towards the end of the game, but not the last sort of 5 minutes when it looked like we might snatch an equaliser, which I will say I don't think we deserved. But the atmosphere was good. There's always something good about the night games. There's always something different, especially when it's a bit rainy and slippy, and it's not so miserable that spirits are dampened. But I don't know. It was just this sort of expectancy that we were going to play better than we did, and although it wasn't an embarrassment. It was a loss and a one in which we didn't capitalise on our first goal. Um, I don't know whether you agree with this. We gave away two, possibly three, um, and again didn't capitalise towards the end on chances that we should have taken. Mm.
Yeah, I completely agree. I said earlier on, I don't think it was even the. Obviously, we'll talk about player ratings, but I don't think it was even the defense's fault. I just feel like we lost the ball twice in when we'd committed going forward, we lost the ball twice. And when you do that, you're vulnerable. And they made
And
us
it,
pay for it twice. Like
yeah,
first one being Garner Gay, who doesn't normally lose the ball, does he? And the second one being Awobi, who started really well but lost the ball but still had a decent game.
yeah. I mean, it was a good shot, great shot from the Iwobi to score that goal. And again, he was pivotal to a lot of play. Um, I guess I'll just jump right in there and say that if you can justify giving it to any Everton player, he would be my Everton man of the match for this game.
See, my
Um,
my my, my man of the match, I don't know whether it's
Pickford,
because I love him and I'm obsessed with him. It was Onana. I thought
fair.
Onana was the only player that looked to press and turn the ball over. He made Casemiro's job really hard, and he had a good battle with Casemiro. The first goal was Onana turning it over. He put in a tackle and pressed him, and then we caught them out off guard. And I thought Onana was decent. He missed a couple of headers, but I generally thought he was quite good in the middle.
He should have scored. To be fair, you're right what you're saying there. I don't want to be negative though. Um,
Do you think he's good at heading?
you're already positive. No, I
I
don't
don't think he
think
could. I don't think he could head that much, Jan. What do you think? He's like 6'6", but
maybe he
is
doesn't
he
have to.
like good at heading or not?
It's difficult to say. I mean, he made a nuisance of himself. He really did. He got stuck in. He knew the expectations of the role. He made some really nice turns and found some good passes. Um, I mean, speaking along those lines, though, it was very nice to see that kind of level of commitment that we expect at Everton, and a similar thing that you get from Onana or a slight element of Gay's game in James Garner when he came on.
Yeah, he was
Um,
class.
yeah, I think that was a good move. Maybe could have come on a bit earlier, and I don't
We
know
said,
whether.
yeah, said that.
Yeah,
Completely agree with you. I generally said the moment that I think Gonagay's class, but sometimes players they're not robots. They're just going to sometimes be off it, where everything just goes wrong for you and you just can't pass the ball. It's one of those days, and I felt like Gonagay in that number 6 position didn't look like he was having his best game. And when you've got good players on the bench, you should probably make the change straight away just to help them out. Because if they're struggling, just change it and say, right, next game, get back on it, but we'll help you out this game.
I have to say that my stinker I don't know whether you feel okay naming it, by the way. But everything that came through the midfield still featured Iwobi. However, I think being opened up by Man United's right quite a lot of the time was not down to Mykolenko, who I thought actually had a very good game. If anything, I think it was Anthony Gordon not being in the right position, not doing his job or his duty. And I'd go so far as to sort of give him a 4 or something, or a 3 even. What do you think?
Yeah, well, it wasn't his game, was it? Let's start then with Pickford, Jordan Pickford.
I'm going to say 8 because he did quite well and he didn't do any. Yeah,
he got his fingertips to one of the goals,
and he did head that ball in the box for that corner.
That was good. It was close. I thought he was going to score then. It's going to be interesting, these marks. I don't think we've done the marks, have we? I don't know what our marks are going to be like, but on Pickford, I'd probably give Jordan, and people, if you listen on the comments, just drop what marks you're giving these players.
Yeah, drop your marks, guys.
Yeah, drop your marks in the comments. But Jordan Pickford, I'm going to give him a 6 because I thought the goal, one of the goals that they scored, he got his fingertips to it, and he probably could have saved it. But I don't feel like it was his fault. But yeah, 6. I'm going to give him.
Okay, it's very difficult though because I don't have the benefit of any replays or watching it on TV.
Yeah.
I do think it's much better going to the game, but you're able to look and watch the match on TV, the action. But I do think at the ground you can watch a lot more of the game, the entirety all the time. Yeah, okay, you've gone for 6. Okay, fair enough. Funnily enough, I will tell you that you've gone for 6. I've gone for 8. My dad went for 7.
So he's in between.
Yeah,
we kind of got everything there. We kind of got everything.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick 6 because I'm not going to give anyone major this time. I normally give people good marks even if there wasn't that good because I like them, but I'm going to be quite strict on this one. So I'm going to give them a 6. We'll go from left back, Mykolenko.
7.
I'm going to give him a 6.5. I thought he was up against good opposition, Monty. Let's not beat around the bush. That Anthony is a player, isn't he? He is very, very dangerous. And I think Mykolenko was against a very, very good player today, Monty.
Yeah, and that's why I saw him, hold the line, shepherd the player out to the side quite a lot. Certainly in the second half,
Did Ronaldo score his 700 goal?
He did.
He would do. What was the not off the subject, we'll go straight back to it, but what was the celebration? I don't know what it meant. It was kind of like, don't know whether it meant something. I don't know. He did it with Anthony.
I don't know. I could say something that would bring the channel into disrepute.
Yeah, I know. What did you give Mykolenko?
Mykolenko 7.
7, and I gave him a 6.5. So around about this, like I say, he is pretty solid in defence, Mykolenko, isn't he?
Yeah.
He doesn't get forward much, but he does his job defensively.
He got forward a couple of times as well today. But I think it's very difficult to do that against United when we played as an entire team as we did. You can't expect the guy to go forward if we're not making sort of joined up play and being incisive, cutting through the channels, playing first balls. I don't hold that to him. So we're going left to right then.
Yeah.
Cody or Tarkowski? I can't figure out who played where.
We'll go Tarkowski. I think plays left centre back in my head.
Okay. Yeah.
Tarkowski. You go first on this one. What are you going to give him?
The thing is, though, I don't think the defence were that bad, and they were very well together. And he did. I'm going to give him a 7.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him a 6.5. Just because I don't feel like he could have stopped the goals. I feel like the goals come from midfield, not defence.
Yeah,
and he was putting some good balls through. Tarkowski was a couple of misplayed balls, but he tried the long balls. I'm not gonna blame him. I really ain't gonna blame him for this because I don't feel it was the defence's fault. So I'm gonna give him like a 6.5.
Fair enough.
I'm doing my 0.5s because I feel like 7's too much, like in between 6 and 7. So I'm going to 0.5.
Yeah, maybe I'm being generous because I'm being pretty harsh later on.
Someone's put this. This is harsh, mate. You're not harsh compared to this person. You've got to give Garner a 0 rating today. That's going to be the harsh one. Is it? I don't think a player's ever got a 0, have they? Even if they've done something diabolical. Don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, what's the treble? An own goal, a red card, and a what is it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think that's a 0. So I think being a bit harsh on the 0 there, mate. But fair enough if you want to give him a 0. What are you going on, Cody?
Simply because you're right. I didn't want to make out our defence were wonders, and also because I remember Tarkowski cutting out and shepherding, a lot more than Cody during the match. I've gone for Cody 6.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you 6. He got a nosebleed as well, didn't he? So I'm just going to give him a 6 for getting a nosebleed. He shouldn't get a nosebleed. Our centre backs are Warriors. They shouldn't show blood. No, but I'm going to give him a 6. I can't think of anything Cody did wrong either. Like generally,
yeah, I haven't done very much in the way. I haven't given any half marks, but if I were, it would be for Coleman because I was undecided. Oh, there's a couple of comments here about midfield as you've just brought up Peters. I can see Joe said, does anyone think something about Gordon's? We'll pop it up on the screen when we get to midfield because,
I think that's going to be the interesting marks on midfield because, like I said, I don't think the defenders was to blame for the goals, and so I can't really give them bad marks.
Yeah, I'm going to say that Coleman, he's the only one I've given a 0.5 to because I can't decide on 6 or 7 because he didn't play badly. He's still got some pace. He made some forward runs. Maybe it's just that, obviously he's getting on and he had to be brought off or whether it's an injury or not. But the fact is he didn't do anything particularly wrong. Well, Peter seems to think, by the way.
Yeah, he's got it in for Coleman.
So for Cody today, too busy to trying to clean up Coleman's mess because Coleman couldn't track back. He deserves a 0 as well, by the way. Well,
there was a moment where Coleman, the ball was coming across. Man United had two attackers, and Coleman come in, slid in, and cleared the ball. And Pickford gave him a big high five. So Coleman did stop a goal. So I will give him a bit of credit for that.
I think Coleman was all right, but
there's a mark there. Someone said 5. I'm going to give Coleman a 5.5. So I'm similar to you. I'm on a 5.5 for Coleman because I'm probably harsh giving him less than just the other defenders. Yeah, but I generally feel like I miss Patterson. That's why I'm going to give him a 5.5.
That's the thing, and it certainly didn't help that our sort of wide midfielders were. Okay, right. Are we going to go? What do you want to do?
We'll start from the left again. We'll start from the left again, left wing, and then we'll do the subs at the end. So we'll go. Who was left wing? It was Gray, wasn't it?
Yes. He switched at one point, but it doesn't matter.
What are you going to give him?
By the way, Peter, I can see your comment. No, please comment it, and I'll put them together because I have no idea what it is. But I gave Gray a 5.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 5 as well because generally, I always remember the counter attack where it was 2-2 and Townsend scored against Man United, and I thought Gray would be really good against Man U. And I would because I don't think their right back, Man U's right back Dalat, is that good, and I felt Gray would absolutely destroy him. And he didn't, so I'm just going to give him same mark as you, Jan. Generally, he can be better than what he was. I don't think they helped track him back that much either. Gray didn't really help Mikalenko that much, did he?
No, that's what I was going to say. But he was nowhere near it wasn't as glaringly obvious as Gordon. But do you want to do like Iwobi, Gay, Onana? Yeah.
We'll move across. So we'll go with a
formation today then.
It was 4-3-3 again, wasn't it?
Okay. Looked very much like
it was a 4-5-1 the moment we scored.
Yeah, it did look like Mopé was very isolated for a while. Yeah. Okay.
Iwobi,
Well,
what are you going for?
Iwobi. Maybe I've gone a bit too high, but I'd say that he had a very, very good game. And even when he was at right back and Garner came on, and in DCL, when I don't think it's fair to give any of them players ratings, but I think he did a bang up job. I think Iwobi, I gave him an 8.
An 8. See, I would have given him an 8, but he made one of the mistakes on the goals, which was not his. It happens. I can't be too harsh on the mistake because every player can make a mistake, and someone could have saved him, but they didn't. But because he made a mistake, I would have given him an 8. But because he made a mistake, I'm going to give him a 7. I'm going to knock him down just for the one mistake. But I'm glad that Iwobi's been getting his assists, and we've all been crying out for him to score goals, and what a goal it was. But I still think 7's a good mark for him, to be fair. But he wasn't the problem, was he? Other than the one mistake, he had a good game. He's going to be good.
Fair enough. Onana.
I liked Onana. I'm going to give him a 7.
Fair enough.
Generally, I was going to say generally because he really made Casemiro's freaking game hard work, and he was everywhere, and he closed down, and he looked like the person that could break the lines for us. Onana did. I don't feel like he's good in the air. He could have scored a couple of headers, but he is trying. He's not Fellaini in the air, is he? Sometimes you think he's really good in the air, but Fellaini was really good in the air. He's not got his head in ability, but he does get his head on it. He is good enough to knock down and stuff like that, but I don't think he'll be knocking every freaking ball in top corner. He's not that sort of aerial threat.
No, it's a bit of a shame. He did well. He showed passion. He showed drive. He did push the ball forward. So yeah, I gave him a 6, but it's only because I guess maybe I wasn't thinking of it as an entire team. I gave him a 6 because of how highly I guess I'd rated the defence in general, which was a bit strange considering we lost. But we lost the game through midfield. But I think Steve has already talked about this with Jeff. Were you on that video just then?
Yeah.
Oh, Christ. What did they think of the midfield? Because we're going to get on to the man.
They thought similar. I think they, like we've just said, Iwobi they didn't have a problem with. They thought he was decent. Onana, I probably rated him more than what they did. They probably put him not that good. But like I say, Onana, I only gave him a 7 because I generally thought he was a big part of the goal. On the press, he was good. It's just that sometimes because we sat back, it isn't good for Onana. Just sitting back, I like to see him press because he's got loads of energy. So I think so. I'll give him a 7, but I could see why people would give him less.
So Idrissa Gana Gay.
Yes, here we go. Here we go. The 0.
I wouldn't say a game of two halves because I don't want people to think I'm using the old idea that he was good in one half and bad in the other half. No, he had a very two-sided game today. It was ambivalence. It was eagerness. It was being in the right position. It was cutting the balls out, but then it was pinging them and not finding the right pass and not getting your foot stuck on it properly and flicking it a little bit too far or not far enough. And I think that he had a real stinker. So
he still thinks it's a 0. Peter Duncan still thinks it's a 0.
I'm going to have to. I don't want to pin this on two players, but one of them that I'm going to pin it on was Idrissa Gana Gay.
I know.
Maybe he just got found out because the midfield was swamped because the number of times that there was nobody in the middle of our midfield throughout that match.
No, what are you going to give him? I'm going to give him. I want to see how harsh yours is first.
4.
Yeah, I'm on 4. I don't like to give him a 4 as well because I absolutely love him and think he's been class since he's come. But he just had one of those games in football. Sometimes you have one of those days where everything you do just goes wrong. And he had, like you say, I think you hit the nail on the head because you said he overtouched it. He controlled it and it went too far away from him. He passed it and it didn't go to where he wanted it to go. He didn't look as energetic as he normally looks. He didn't stop counter attacks. It wasn't him, was it? Generally, that's why I said to you, Jan, he could have done with being subbed because he just wasn't on it.
Yeah. James Garner should have come on maybe at half-time for him.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's difficult to say at half-time because there wasn't the frustration and the observations of that really at first because we capitulated and gifted them the 2 goals. So it wasn't as if there was clear-cut evidence of us not being good enough to win the game at that point. So maybe, but certainly Garner could have come on earlier. Lawrence seemed to think it's because we didn't press as much as we should have. Everyone was too close together. Yeah, it's interesting that we were at times we were chasing the ball down and it was like putting them under pressure, and then we'd have a period of possession for a couple of minutes. That was towards the end of the game, but and it was frustrating though still not to see anything. Yeah, David said slightly earlier, subs agreed. We've got 2 players left.
It really wasn't the Idrissa Gana Gueye that we normally get, though. I thought he'd be a key player in this game because he's normally the one where when Man United press us with their front players, he's normally the one that can break the lines. He's got the confidence to just get past the press and get us on the attack. And I can't believe how bad he was because I think it made him even worse because he set such a high standard to what he normally is. He's normally so good. And for him to be that poor was a shock for me. Real shock, to be fair, yeah. I will get all 4. That says how shocking it was, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it's hard to disagree.
Well, this is going to be an interesting one now as well.
Neil Mopey.
No, Gordon, isn't it? Anthony Gordon.
Well, go on. I was saving him for last, but yeah fair enough.
Why we've just done Gana Gueye, we might as well do Anthony Gordon as well.
Okay, fine. There's this other ingredient in the, double fecal special that was, sorry, Christ, I'm being horrible. Well, Peter, you're not far wrong. Gordon 0 as well. He was terrible tonight. I'm going to say 3.
You've gone 3, even lower than...
Right, simply because it's not his individual mistakes. He didn't chase the ball. He didn't run into space. He didn't play the smart passes. He was anonymous, and I don't know. He wasn't. He was worse than he was in the was it Southampton game? And it was because of him being out of position. He didn't bother to track back, and that exposed Mykolenko. It's why Mykolenko had to go central and give Anthony. Was it no? Who was it on the right hand side? Yeah, it was Anthony, wasn't it? Whoever it was, I think number 21 or
like you say, they did switch sides, so Gordon was on both on it at some point.
Yeah, but but every time I saw him, he wasn't tracking back, and it was almost as if he thought we were playing a different formation or a different tactics. And it was very disappointing, and I don't want to.
I don't know what was up with him. He generally didn't look up for it, did he? No. It wasn't the Anthony Gordon that we normally see because I generally, if you said to me before the start of the game, who's going to be our main threat, I probably would have said Gordon would have been one of the players because I thought coming up against Shaw, Gordon would absolutely run rings around him and give him a nightmare. But I can't even remember Gordon running at Shaw or even giving him a headache. I generally can't. So I think I'm going to give Gordon a 4. I'm going to give him the same as Gana Gueye. I'm going to give him a 4, but 4 is a really bad mark for me because I don't like to go below 5. But even when he come off, he looked like a stroppy kid, like he was just frustrated, not even angry. Do you know what I mean? He just looked like whatever, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, Neil Mopey, I think we're just going to leave it there. There's nothing really redeeming to say about Gordon's performance today.
Yeah. Someone's just said this, and I knew someone was going to say this, but I didn't say it. Yeah. Sorry, go on. Put it back up.
Yeah. Trevor's just said Gordon's not been the same since his Chelsea offer. It's a point, is what I'm saying. That it's a point that can be made.
You just never know, do you? I do think he'll bounce back up, though. That's one thing I will say about Gordon. I think
he will have to.
There was just something, I don't know what it was. They all looked very lazy today. Very lazy. They didn't look like when you went to that game, yeah. we spoke about it. Man U, it was a massive game, and it was a good game that could have got us on the up. And I thought there'd be more up for it than what there was. I generally thought we'd see so much passion and heart, especially from Gordon, because he normally does play with his heart. And we didn't see it at all today. And I don't know why. I don't know what they did in the changing room or dressing room before the game, but the passion wasn't there for me today. And that's something we normally get as a given with this new team.
It was a very flat performance today. Absolutely, it was just. But I do think Mope, I gave him a 5 because he made a constant nuisance of himself. He maybe tempered himself after last week because he kept not Agbon. Who was the Agbon? No, who was the player that he was making an absolute hassle? He was making it impossible for them. Anyway, in the last game. But he was risking giving away fouls, and it's not the kind of thing that you want to constantly do against United. So it's. I think he played as best as can be expected with the players behind him, not fully doing anything to help his cause. So I gave him a 5.
No, I'm going to give him probably a 5. I could give him a 6 because I've seen a lot of people giving him stick, but he didn't really get much service today, did he? He didn't get much service, and I was thinking today when people are giving him a lot of stick, like we didn't give him the ball that much. We didn't put the ball through him. There was no through balls. You can't expect him to win headers because he's not going to be good at headers. He looked like he was running a lost cause.
Step ladder.
Yeah, he looked like he was running lost cause, though. Yanni generally looked like because we wasn't pressing all together. He didn't know when to press with people, and it was just a lost cause today for Mope, and I can't blame him. I did like it when Calvert-Lewin come on with him because I felt like I liked the idea of Calvert-Lewin flicking the ball on for him or holding the ball up for him because he was so isolated. You can't leave Mope up. I know he can do it up front by himself sometimes, but it's a hard job every game to play up front against 4 defenders by yourself. So I'm going to give. Like I say, I'm going to give him a 5. I could give him a 6, but I'm going to give him a 5.
Have any ratings for any of the subs? I think the only one I bothered to think about, or that might be right, was McNeil.
You got McNeil. So what are you going to give McNeil?
I'd say he came on. I'd give him either a 5 or a 6 because he did quite well, and certainly he was. It was his presence and Garner in midfield that really made the impact in getting us those corners. Whether it was Calvert-Lewin's height in the box that guaranteed we kept getting corners towards the end, but we didn't capitalise on anyway. But yeah,
he was more up for it than Gordon, Monty. He looked better than Gordon when he come on. He was more up for it. He tried to get on the ball and he put himself about. So I'm going to give him a 5. Generally, I can't give him out major because he didn't come on that long and didn't do that much, but he definitely looked better than Gordon. So I'm going to give him a 5.
The thing that bothers me about us is no composure on the ball. It looks like it takes the world to string a couple of passes together. It did. I wouldn't say it's anything to worry about at the moment. I hope.
No, I don't think it's anything. I don't think it's something that happens every week. I just think today we was poor at passing the ball.
Trevor says DCL should have come on at half time. Yeah.
But yeah, while you're on DCL, what mark are you going to give him for when he come on?
I honestly don't think he was on long enough to warrant a mark to see. But I mean, he certainly made a positive impact, and we should have seen more of him. It makes you wonder if he was fit enough to come on against Man United towards the end. Why couldn't he have played half an hour when we were 2-1 down in a game that needed to see an improvement? And anyone that you'd bring, well, you'd argue whether it was Rondon, Mope, or anyone else who happened to be in that position. If you bring DCL on, you have to imagine that it's an improvement in quality.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. We should have brought him on earlier. Like you say, playing 10 minutes, 20 minutes, I don't see what the difference is to playing 10 minutes to 20 or even half an hour. I think if you're on, you're on. They should have brought him on earlier. What do you think on...
Joe's just asked.
Go on.
2 questions. One, do you think we'll go off our passing game now the temptation of long balls is there now that DCL's back, and 2, where was Decore today? Number 2, do you know anything about Dan? Because I don't know where he was today.
Decory wasn't on the bench, but I didn't know until Jeff told me, so I don't know what was up with him. Maybe just a strain. I don't think he would have got left out unless he was injured, so he must have picked up something. Maybe tight. I don't know. I don't know on him. And on the number 1, do I think we're just going to be tempted to play the long ball with Calvert-Lewin? I don't know. I just think it's good to have the option of both, to be able to play football and use the long ball when it's required. Because a lot of people act like Calvert-Lewin's just good at heading, but he's a very fast player as well and good with his feet.
Yeah. He is fast. He might not have the... Well, I don't know what he might not have, but I do know that he's got a turn and he's got the ability to find space. And he's actually quite, he's good with his feet. It's not like he's not good with his feet. It's the same thing maybe as what happened with Duncan Ferguson, is that if Duncan Ferguson's renowned as a header of the ball, but he had bloody good feet, and people only seem to remember that because of his heading ability. So maybe DCL is just, fingers crossed, that good at heading that's what gets remembered. Look, if it doesn't detract from the quality of football and it scores us goals, I don't think it's an excuse to go off the passing game, but it's something that I wouldn't necessarily mind if it's effective, as long as we don't just hoof it up constantly. I hope not, though.
No, I don't. I definitely don't think we will. What do you think on? There's 2 players that we've left out, and that's Rondon and Garner. The Rondon one, you can't really, like you say, you can't really give him a mark, can you? We'll probably give him a 5 because.
I mean, I think James Garner came on, as Peter's just said here. He didn't think Garner should have started this game. If you're going to play against United, you need Decore because he's a better ball player than Garner and he's solid. Well,
I read that, but I was thinking he's not a better ball player than Garner Gay. Definitely not. Decore loses the ball a lot with his passing, but Garner Gay wasn't good at ball player tonight.
Peter said James Garner didn't look too bad in my opinion. To be fair, he's got a point there, right? James Garner looked ready to me.
Yeah, I generally think...
How do you fit him in, though?
Well, like today, for example, if Garner Gay is not having a good game or he's struggling with fitness, then you've got to make the sub. That's what it's like. It's competition now, isn't it, Jan? If someone's not up for it, bring someone else on.
If we couldn't play Gordon and Gray, how would you set the team up? Interestingly, McNeil and Iwobi.
I generally think you can play, and people say different. I think you can play because Mupé runs everywhere, and he just come back and take some throw-ins.
If it's all possible, I'd have had DCL and Mopé up front together and tried to play a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-2-2, or a 4-2-3-1 with Mopé in the middle or DCL, taking it in turns, with Iwobi and McNeil. If you can't play, that is if we can't play, assuming David B's there, that we couldn't play Gordon and Gray. And then in the middle have had, well, I would have said Anana and Gay, not knowing how badly, compared to his normal ability, Idrissa Gana Gay was this evening. But I guess, maybe Ghana.
I'd love to play Calvert-Lewin with Mopé. I generally would like to play them together because I feel like you've got a centre forward with Calvert-Lewin, then you've got Mopé who will really link up. Do you think we could play a 4-4-2 or not?
I've said it.
Yeah, I generally think you could play a 4-4-2, but then you kind of eliminate one of the centre midfielders.
Yeah, but to be fair, if given the choice, if that was an option, then you go Gay or Decore, as Peter seems to. Peter's got a real a grievance with Ghana.
It was a one-off. It was a one-off. He doesn't normally play like that. Ghana Gay's normally bang on. He's normally...
Ghana can't pass before. Okay, he doesn't have the distribution that you'd expect a player potentially like Arteta had. Absolutely. But Doucouré has been massively off the boil, and he's been completely misfiring passes, not weighting them correctly for through balls, even flubbed chances and refused to, and didn't capitalise a couple of times when he was in front of goal or one-on-one. And it just, to me, I can't understand how Doucouré is going to get back at the moment unless we're going to, touch wood, it doesn't happen. Right, I'm actually touching wood on this because I'm not really superstitious, but Jesus, anything that anyone's going to blame me for, Everton not. If we have any midfield injuries, I don't see, unless that's the only way, I'd see Doucouré coming back in.
I generally feel the replacement for Onana is Doucouré, and the replacement for Gana Gay is the new Garner, James Garner, and that's the way I see it. That's the way I see it.
But why not? I mean, Christ, we've got a player who plays in centre midfield who's where. Okay, this has turned into a ridiculous thing. Where can't Alex Iwobi play?
In goals. Probably can, actually. Just don't know, do you? He probably can play. I thought he looked... that's one thing that I did think that was a clever move. Do you know where he put Iwobi right back? And he managed to get like 3 strikers on. And I thought, you know what? That's a clever move because if Coleman isn't getting up, Iwobi will get forward as a right back and he'll play as like a right wing back, won't he? So it's a good option. I'm not saying it's Iwobi's best position, but it's a good option.
If we would have snatched a goal at the end and drawn, or who knows, maybe even won if we'd have scored a bit earlier, we would be talking about how that was a very intuitive response to the game. Because I always think if you make changes at half time, you're not allowing the team talk and the break and the respite and the reinforcement of the tactics that you've planned for this specific game to have a chance. So give it 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes to see a fair bite of the cherry. But I do think maybe some changes should have been made earlier. Maybe it was Frank thinking that it wasn't that desperate to do so, because rather than get weaker, we did pick up towards the last sort of 10 minutes, but we didn't give as much. We didn't give as much fight back as we should have done, and then I don't know whether you think that, or whether you agree with me, but we just didn't capitalize in the way that we'd expected. So if he's then going to have to make those changes, we gifted them goals, and if those changes would have paid off, we would have talked about how amazing it was. As it was, though, when the changes eventually did come, it was a little bit too late, but they were the right things to do. It's very difficult. This is what Everton do. They just frustrate me.
Yeah, it's confusing. Like I say, I'm not frustrated in a way that I think, we're doomed this season, because I don't even think we're going to be in a relegation battle this season. I'm just frustrated in a way that this is a new Everton. I know that we can be good, and I don't feel like we was good this game. But on what you just said, I do feel like Lampard probably should have made his subs earlier, because when United pressed with Rashford, Fernandes, Martial, and Ronaldo, and all the pressing players that they've got, we look scared to pass the ball through that press. And if you can't pass the ball through that press and you panic like we did, I do think that the long ball is a good option, Jan. Because if you're not getting at Man United's defence and you can't pass it through to get at them, then why not just play the long ball? And it did look like it worked, didn't it, Yang? Because their defence wasn't good, fact. The moment we put the ball on their defenders, they looked like very vulnerable. And it was frustrating, because I don't know how you felt in the crowd, Jan, but it did look like on TV, it was the matter of time that we was going to get a goal. It was corner after corner after corner. And
it did at the end. But Brendan and Peter have just both said, good point here, that I thought we were going to score. When we went 1-0 up, I thought we were going to score more, but we just stepped off it, and they were the better team. And we should have capitalised. And he says, think Garner and DCL need to start next week. It's not a bad shout if he's going to be match fit. And Peter said we should have gone for them the minute we went 1-0 up instead of sitting back.
Said the same thing on the channel. Yeah, on the one before, I said the same thing. We need a different mentality. I hate, Jan, when we go 1-0 up and we sit back and let them have the ball. I hate it.
We've done the hard work, right? Come, let's piss it away. Yeah.
Yeah. It's generally, we started the game, we pressed them, and they struggled with the press, and then we're like, oh right, they're struggling against us, so let's change it, get a goal and sit back and make the game really easy for Man United and let them have the ball.
Right,
doesn't make sense.
On that note, Dan, it is 11:15.
Yep.
It's Sunday night. We've gone through the ratings. We've sort of vented a bit. I'm glad to be back on the channel because I have been a busy little bee.
To be fair, mate, I was just buzzing to speak to you. When you said to me, do you want to do a player rating? I thought, yeah, I'll definitely have a chat with you. You know what I mean? I thought I'd definitely have a chat with you, see how you're doing and stuff. You are smashing it on TV and everything. Jan the celeb.
Brendan said we did miss Patterson today.
Yeah, true.
And like you are right, he didn't do a couple of the overlap runs, but I think it's better that he didn't than did too many and got caught out. I think he knows maybe perhaps too much or he's worried about too much. His limitations now that he's getting older. Oh my God, no! It breaks my heart. Yeah. Speaking of breaking my heart, I'm going to have to go now, Daniel. It's getting late.
Well, Tottenham next, isn't it? So we'll have another.
Yes.
This should be a big game.
When is it? Oh, hang on. Crikey.
Is it away or home? Tottenham.
It's away. Yeah, 15.
Cheers, mate. Great vid, lads. I will get my wig. We'll get my wig.
Oh, by the way, sorry, Peter did drop some news earlier. Apparently, don't know if anybody knows this. Allegations have been made. Apparently, it's in the news. It's on social media that Jordan Henderson racially abused Gabriel in the Arsenal-Liverpool game earlier on. Apparently, there was a serious altercation, which I did catch when I was in an establishment that serves a lot of beer, but apparently is actually a restaurant right near to Goodison, watching the match earlier.
I didn't know that. I was curious when someone said earlier on what was the allegations about, and obviously they just dropped it then. Like I say, it's a big subject that we don't even want to touch, to be fair, isn't it? Because
I mean, aside from obviously, if he said something that is offensive, racial in nature, then yeah, I think it goes without saying that kind of dick move. But
all we can say is that generally, if it has happened, then I'm sure action will be taken, isn't it? Like there's cameras everywhere, there's players everywhere, and there's not much you can do on that pitch without it going unnoticed. So I'm sure it will come out.
Right.
What they've done.
On that lovely cheery note, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you for coming on the video and where I've come back from a several week absence and follow Everton. It's been like a part of my life has been missing. But thank you, Dan.
I'm gonna my next. What I'm doing is when this grows back a little bit, I'm going to bleach it blonde. That's my next move. That's my next move.
Are you going to grow it and be like He-Man?
Oh, Jan, I bet you didn't see the video on Twitter. My missus cut lines here and did a big line around the back of my hair. We've left it all on. And she says, I bet you don't dare to go out with it like that. I know, yeah. Yours does suit you, though, to be fair, though, mate.
Yeah, I think I'm getting it something done to it soon.
No, it does look good. It does suit you. Keep it like that, you know what I mean?
I've just got a new parrot, and she loves like sort of nesting in my hair here and being like,
yeah, it's a good nest.
Oh.
It's a good nest. It's one of them. Like I said to you, I got frustrated. I shaved it off, but then you regret it when you shave it off. You'll miss it. It's your style anyway, Jan. You're the Viking. You couldn't change that style. You are the Viking.
Peace, Dan. Thank you, everyone.
See you later.
Take care. Love you all.